12:33 hours on the 26th of the 3rd, 2020. Yeah, so last night I talked to my neighbor. I knocked on their door just to ask if they could keep the talking down or whatever they were doing down. So when I knocked on the door, the talking was still going on, and then I had to knock twice or 3 times until the talking or whatever it was stopped, and they finally answered the door. They only peeked their head out through the little crack that they left, which is fair enough. They're probably concerned about someone knocking on their door at 11:30 at night. Or whatever. It was a woman. It was a woman who answered the door. And she asked me, what is it? I did the right thing and I explained that I'm a neighbor. And I asked if she could keep her talking down because it was already late at night. And late at night, people have a right to a nice, peaceful sleep. I said all that. And then she says, I don't know what you're talking about. So then I explained, given given that it's known here in Australia that, by 11 o'clock, noise should be kept to a minimum, especially noise considered antisocial behavior should probably be kept to a minimum, I asked if she could keep the talking down, because if not, I told her if it proceeds, I'm gonna have to take further action. I didn't say what, but I just said I'm just gonna have to take further action. And then, whether she denied or not that she was making the noise, she asked me, why? Where are you from? Like, where are you coming from? And I said, I'm coming from the apartment upstairs. And then she says, from upstairs? I don't understand how you're being interrupted or how the noise from here is getting to you upstairs. I don't understand. I said, well, it is. Like, I'm picking up the talking and it's coming from your room. And then she says, but isn't it coming from upstairs? Like, you're from upstairs. You come from upstairs. I told her, trust me, I've listened to all the other rooms upstairs and I've knocked on my neighbor's doors upstairs. And I told her I knocked on the doors and they said it wasn't them. And I believed them. And they did complain as well that the noise was coming from downstairs. Thus the reason why I went downstairs to investigate and found the culprit to this disturbance. I explained that in much simpler terms, of course, but in precise, concise terms as well. And she understood what I said, but she continued to defend the fact that noise couldn't have been coming from her room, because she proceeded to say, I don't understand how when you're upstairs, you could be getting the disturbance from downstairs, blah 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 blah. And I said, look, all the neighbors have complained that it's downstairs as well. So I looked around and I found that it was coming from your room. And I said, this is not the first time I've heard noise from your room. But this was the first time I actually asked to keep the noise down. Again, she proceeded to say, I don't understand. How can you be complaining from upstairs when you're from upstairs and this is downstairs? She kept saying that. Either way, whatever her defense was, I proceeded to continue to tell her, I told her, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just asking if there's any noise that you guys are making, could you please keep it down? I said those words. If there's any noise you guys are making, could you please just keep it down, because it's late at night and I think we all deserve a nice, peaceful, good night's sleep. I said that. She continued her defense about how she doesn't understand that the noise from downstairs could be interrupting upstairs. And again, I said, I get that. I know what you're trying to say, but I told her, if there's any noise, could you just please keep it down? If you are I even said this the next time, if you are making any noise, or talking loud, could you please keep it down, because I told her, because I hear a loud talking and it's late at night. and noise should be kept down right now. I was being nice, I was being straight to the point, I was being apologetic as well, while she was being defensive. And whenever she kept trying to bring her defense up, I didn't attack her, I just reiterated my point. If there is noise, could you please calm down, because it's late at night. And I kept asking her as well, am I making a fair point? Am I being fair? Is what I'm saying valid? I kept asking that. She never disagreed to that. All she did was wait a moment and continue her defense. Either way, me having said the same thing 3 to 4 times and her saying the same defense, which was not defending the point I was making, I knew it was pointless, and I said, look, alright, it's late, and I'm just hoping you keep it down. And then I left, and she just shut the door. That is what trying to be civilized sometimes entails. It entails you trying to communicate and negotiate, and people diverting the attention away from what is really going on. I'm not going to condemn her or anything, but I'm only left with assumptions, presumptions, because the way she kept defending herself after all I asked was, if you are making any noise, could you please keep it down? And the fact that she kept defending herself, it pretty much revealed to me that first, she's probably guilty, because the first thing she never ever did was she never denied the fact that she was making noise. She never, not once, denied the fact that the noise was coming from her room. Never once. She never denied that fact. All she did was defend the somewhat logic that noise from her floor couldn't have been interrupting the upstairs floors, the upper floors. That's all she did. All she did was try to fall into logic to defend her stance. She never denied her stance. The second part that I felt she left wide open was the fact that she was trying to make a defense. Because the fact that she was trying to make a defense for if there was a noise, because that's the defense she took. She was taking the defense for the fact that if there was a noise. When you make a defense for if there was something, or if I was in this position, there's a good chance you probably are in that position. So it kind of leaves the fact open that she's probably defending what she was doing wrong, which was having a room that was making lots of noise. She was making a defense for something I hadn't exactly pointed out directly yet. I only asked, if you are making noise, could you please keep it down? And she already jumped into the logical defense, like, hey, but how can it be coming from my room? She never once denied it. And the fact that she was trying to defend the fact that a noise was coming from her room, it kind of puts her in the position that she is guilty. It definitely places her into the guilty position. Because why would you defend something if it wasn't your fault? The other neighbors whose doors I knocked onto, they said, oh no, it's not us, we're not doing anything, hey, it's not us. And they apologized. They said, oh sorry, but it's not us. And then they also offered insight, like, yeah, we've made complaints as well, and we heard noise as well. They directed me. See, they didn't have to defend themselves once. All they had to do was deny the fact that it was them. That's it. There was no need for defense, because they weren't guilty of anything. Their alibi was the fact that it wasn't them. But the supposed neighbor of disturbance, she didn't once deny the fact that the noise was coming from her room. And the fact that she kept defending the supposed position that the noise was coming from her room made it seem even more likely that the noise was coming from her room. I don't want to completely point fingers yet, but my attention is definitely directed towards those who play the defense like they're some sort of victim of some, how do I say this, unjustful accusations. Were my accusations unjust? I had several accounts of intrusive noise coming from that very room, and the fact that I got to complain about it at a valid time, which was 11 at night, does that make my complaint, my desire to negotiate unjust? I don't know. I'm not trying to win sides here. I just want to get this out of my chest and just have this as a diary's sake, so at least, you know, I have written proof of my known accounts. This all happened last night, of course. Today is the 26th. So it happened at the very last hours of the 25th. And the accused, for lack of a better word, never denied her fact that the noise was coming from her room. Oh, there's one other special note that I noticed as well. As she was making her defense, she made it clear, and she pointed out the fact that it's only me living here, and, you know, she said, it's only me living here. How could a noise from downstairs be going upstairs? Like, she didn't even have to say the fact that it's only me living here, which made me more suspicious, because I did recall all the noises and disturbances that I had been hearing for the past few weeks being a male voice. I'd been hearing a male voice, you know, like it's got a low bass to it, like a baritone sort of low male voice. A low tone with low frequencies that is very, very uncommon for a female voice, especially for the female voice that was speaking to me last night. That female voice speaking to me last night did not have the bass, the low frequency voice that I usually hear interrupting me. So that makes another interesting detail. It makes it seem like she's defending the fact that there is someone else in her room. And that is a little bit suspicious, because I think when you live in an apartment, you need to state whether you have one or two people living in the apartment, because it's pretty much like almost free rent. That other person living in that apartment should be paying rent, in a sense. So maybe she's trying to hide and defend that fact. I never pointed that fact out, but she defended that point straight away, just like she was defending the point that, you know, noise shouldn't be coming from her room and disturbing upper rooms. Yeah, so maybe she's hiding the fact that someone else, like a male, is living there with her, because the male voice is the one that's always intruding. You can hear it from the other recordings as well. It's definitely a male voice making all those disturbing, those intrusive noises that interrupt my peace. Sadly, she could be hiding an illegal immigrant, and that's a bit of a sad part, and that's the kind of part where I don't want to make a complaint to my landlord, because if I make a complaint to my landlord, I might leave out the fact that she might be hiding someone there, because if they're a legal immigrant, that's kind of sad if I get them deported. You know, I feel like people have a right to have an opportunity here in the Star Country, here in Australia. You know, it's a great place, and people should find a way to get their opportunities. And, you know, I guess if she's hiding someone, that is kind of sad, and I don't really want to get them caught for that fact. But the point is, the peace and quiet I was promised is not being met. It's being disturbed. My peace of mind, my peace at home, my well-being is being interrupted at the moment, and I'm going to have to make a complaint. I might leave out the detail of the fact that she did make a defense that she's living on her own, but I suspect that the voice is coming from someone else. But yeah, this makes it a tricky matter, but I need peace at home. I really need peace at home, and I need this disturbance to stop. Signing out.